I am excited to be here with you um, for the Corner in Bloom. So let's see. All right, I'm going to make sure I can see us on the videos. Let's see. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But I'm hoping that I can. Huh, that's really weird.
Oh, okay. There we go. Found it. Yay. Okay. Good. If you can. Nope, I don't want to do that. All right. Trying to figure out how to get my AirPods to work on my phone and not on my Mac, and I don't know. I'm having a but it's okay. It's all good. Hopefully you can hear me. If anyone is watching live, you can message down below. That would be awesome. And we are going to stamp and color some bluebonnets from Corner and Bloom. And then I wanted to show you a fun stamp set that I'm going to partner with this one called Storybook Life. So you might not have seen this stamp set, and that's because it is part of the new scrapbook offering. So there is a whole brochure and a whole offering for scrapbook this spring, and this stamp set is one of them. One of the reasons I got it is I love the fonts on it. You guys know I'm a huge fan of a good font. But I also like that they're scrapbook size, which means they're really large. And what that means is that we can fill up a card really, really easily. So we're going to use this Hello Spring one. And we are going to get some white and a little bit of black ink too. I was digging in my scrap bag to see if I had any good sized scraps to stamp on. Oh, I do have these. Those are kind of fun too. Okay. Let's see. I don't see a really good sized scrap, but I see a few smaller ones. So I might have to cut me a sheet. All right. So what I'm going to do is, because the sentiment's so large, I'm not going to die cut this out. I'm actually just going to create a panel on the front of the card. And I'm going to go a little bit smaller than normal because I'm going to do a little bit of layering with the paper. So I'm going to go 5 by 3 3/4. And then I'm going to show you a couple of ways on maybe some of these other scraps how we don't have to color all of these images in. So if coloring isn't your jam, that's fine. These also are really large stamps. They're made so that you can actually do like scrapbooks with them. So this is probably larger than I think we would traditionally use on a card front. Look how big that stamp is. But because it's so big, it actually makes it really easy to do a couple of different techniques when it comes to coloring. So I'm going to stamp this on here, and I'm going to have it go off a little bit, and I might even have it go like off. So I'm going to stamp it kind of like that. And I want to show you a technique we can do for this one. And then I'll make this one into a finished card later, but I want to show you a really easy technique for this one. So I'm going to slide a few things around on my desk. And this guy is so big, I'm not even sure. Nope, we're going to have to use the big block. Wow. All right, I haven't used the big block in a long time. All right, so what we're going to do is we can actually, I'm actually not going to stamp that with that. I'm going to stamp it with like, I want to try it with crumb cake and see if that's dark enough. I might have to do pecan pie, but we'll see. angled right. I think one side is shorter than the other. Nope, that is right. Alright, so we're just gonna go off a little bit, just like that. Nice, okay. So now we've got a nice little image. We could color it. We could color it with watercolor pencils. We could color it with almost anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple colors. I'm going to grab some pretty in pink and some old olive. And I'm going to grab a couple of our brushes. So maybe that one. I think this one's been used for blue or green before. All right, so we're gonna do the pink first. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put a little bit of pink on my dauber, and I'm gonna use a scratch piece of paper that I will tear off from my funny thoughts of dog. My stuffed friend Sebastian wanted me to remind you that you're doing great and you have to trust him. He knows everything. Oh, that's funny. My husband got me that caliber. It's quite funny. All right, so anytime that you're using a sponge dauber, you want the first daub to be on a scratch piece of paper because it's usually pretty dark, pretty intense. So we're just going to do our first daub there, and then we're going to add some pink. Do our first daub here, maybe add a little bit of pink for that one. The first daub here, we've got another flower there. I'm going to kind of make that flower a little bigger. We've got another flower here. And then I'm going to come back up and I'm going to add a little bit more. So when you're coloring something like flowers, something like this, it doesn't have to be exact and it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's one of the things that we get caught up on when we're coloring flowers is that they have to be perfect and they have to be exact and they have to be, you know, X, Y, Z, and they don't. And so I think it's really important to kind of play around and say, okay, well, what happens if I do a watercolor wash and then I stamp the flowers on top of that? Or what if I stamp the flowers in Stays On and I do a watercolor wash, you know, on top of it, right? So just making sure that you're not getting too, you know, caught up with it having to be perfect, I think is really important. And I think a little bit of green is going to go a long way here. I don't think we have to be... And I didn't notice that that was like a little flower. So let me see if I can like... I might have a little bit of pink left over here. Come back. And if not, I might... I'll grab a little more pink. Alright, so I just wanted to show you that there's more than one way to color this. And although I love coloring, I know that not everybody loves coloring in the ways that I do. And so I wanted to show you that there are alternative ways to do this. So this is really cute. It's a really sweet little piece. And I might want to put a really fun, like, hello spring type sentiment on it. So I'm going to get my stamp. I'm going to stamp this in Old Olive. Look at that. So cute. Now we can put that on top of a card and we can add some embellishments and we're good to go. We have a really cute little piece that didn't take a lot to make. And I think that's really important to show. So I want you to know that that is approachable and you can totally do that for coloring. Now, for this blue bonnet. So the minute that we saw this Corner and Blooms stamp set, we all thought that this looked like blue bonnets. It isn't, it's a hyacinth, but it doesn't matter. We're going to color it like a bluebonnet, and we're going to use paper, balmy blue and blueberry bushel, to help kind of support that color scheme. And the other thing that's important here is that you know, it's a large flower, but it's not hard to color. So I'm going to pull up a picture of a bluebonnet, because it's important that the coloring, there's like some variegation. If you've never seen a bluebonnet before, or you have no idea what I'm talking about or why we would be obsessed, it is the state flower of Texas. And we love it very much. And it's not often that we get a chance to stamp a bluebonnet. So I think I'm actually going to go this way, and I'm going to put the sentiment in the corner. I stamped the sentiment in green, so I need to clean that up before we do that. Okay, so we are going to find our picture. I'm still in the middle of doing that. Hold on, please. Let's see if I can find a good one to emulate. Okay, good. So I have a bunch of bluebonnets growing in my front yard. I have some really nice bluebonnet seeds that I got at a local place, and they've done really, really well, and they're all coming up, and there's one little bluebonnet coming up already. The plants are a different kind of leaf than this, and they come up quite early, and then the flowers, of course, don't come up till later. I brought a couple of pieces. I brought a bunch of blues because I don't have blueberry bushel. That's Azure Afternoon, which is nice. And this is light Azure Afternoon. I think that's pretty nice. The other choices were boho. I think boho's a little too purple and gray, so I'm not going to use that one. All right, so we're going to add some darker pieces to a few of these. So that's what makes bluebonnets kind of funny, is that they have dark and light pieces. So we're just going to pick a couple here and there. And these are like little hearts. These are really cute. So these are actually really easy to color. Okay, so there's the dark blue. And then, let's see. Add a few of these, not many. Like a mid blue. And then the other color I'm using is balmy blue. This is the dark balmy blue, quote unquote, which actually isn't all that dark. So I think mine might need a refill. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with the green where I know it's supposed to go. So sometimes it's hard when you're coloring to find where the color is supposed to be. So sometimes it's helpful to look at the stamp case, and you can sometimes see like, oh, okay, I see that there's, you know, a long stem here, and then I see that there's some leaves here, and there's a nice leaf there. Sometimes I think it's helpful to kind of get that greenery colored in so that you can then kind of, you know, connect it all. I'm probably going to put a little bow there, so I'm not super worried about that. But I feel like I've got my green in. And that's Old Olive. If I wanted to come in, you know, with a little bit darker Old Olive, I could kind of, you know, get a little bit of color variation in here. It's kind of nice. All right, and you'll see I went over there, and so I'm going to get my white. So if you've never played around with the color alcohol markers, this is Color Lifter. It doesn't actually lift the color, it actually just pushes it. So I went a little bit over on that leaf, and all I'm going to do is kind of work from out towards that color, and it just, the liquid kind of just pushes the color back in, which is really nice. And then this is hopefully Light Balmy Blue. So this is going to be everything else, and I'm going to use the brush side because I prefer, wow, my Balmy Blue is really dry. I'm not going to use the brush side. Oh my, ooh, this only happens when I'm very aggressive. All right, well, we're going to put that marker back together. That could be why it's all dried out. So I felt like we had hit spring, and I was gonna, I do clothing buckets. So I have like a spring bucket and a summer bucket and a fall bucket. Anyway, I was going to put my spring clothing out and put my winter clothing up. And then we had a cold snap this week, and it's quite cold and quite yucky and rainy and gross. And so I will not be doing that. And we will just persist with winter. Didn't the Puxahani, the gopher dude, he's not a gopher, but he said 6 more weeks of winter, didn't he? I didn't believe him. It was feeling so warm. It was like 83, I think, last weekend or the weekend before. It was crazy. Okay, super cute. I like it a lot. And then we're gonna stamp the sentiment. And if I decide to like trim this down a little bit later, that's fine. I can do that. And I might go one more size down. But we'll use the Blueberry Bushel ink because it's really blue and pretty. It's very Texas blue for sure. And then what we'll do is we'll layer this. So I'm going to use this as my card base, and then I'm going to do a layer of dark blue and a layer of light blue. Oh no. Well, that's a stinky poo. Huh. Darn it. I had ink on my hand from the stamp. Oh dear. Okay. I have this sand eraser that sometimes will like kind of take off the first layer of paper, but I don't think it's gonna be able to take off that much of a boot barrel. That's just unfortunate. Okay, well, better, I guess. All right. And then we have some ribbon from the Nests of Winter Suite. It said, oh, there's that stamp. Now that's funny. I've been looking for this guy. Natural Tones Linen Thread, and I think this will look really cute on here. So I'm definitely going to add some of this to the card. And so tell me today, I'm looking for some interaction on here. So tell me what your favorite flower is. What, like when a stamp set comes out and it's a flower, what flower is it that you would just get so excited about? I would love to know what flower is your favorite. So I'm just going to double this twine to make it a little bit more substantial of a bow. And I'm going to tie it like so. So when you're tying twine, see how loose I'm keeping the bow? That's really important so that we can get it not curled. And then once you kind of have it where you want it, then you can go ahead and trim it. Perfect. And then I'll trim this down and we'll have a really nice looking card, I think, in the end. And it will have a boo-boo on it and it will be okay. And I'll make another one as well. But yeah, hopefully this gives you a really good idea. And I'd love to hear what flower gets you excited about coloring or stamping or making a card. So thanks so much for joining me. Hopefully you like both of the samples and hopefully they show you some fun ways to color that maybe aren't your traditional ways. I love the blend markers. I think they're a lot of fun to play with. But I also like the watercolor pencils as well. So, all right. Thanks so much, y'all. I appreciate you and I'll see you later. Good night.